Yes, we are live now. Aditya, please start.
Okay. Thanks, David. Hey, hi everyone. Very good evening. So welcome to this NPTEL. Cool. Thanks for it.
Aditya, you need to mute that YouTube one. You're getting a loop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it fine now?
Yeah, it is fine for us. Maybe you
Oh.
read.
Yes, all good. Okay. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining this NPTEL Infora webinar. Topic for this webinar is facilitating and handling meetings. So before we talk about the main content, I'm just going to take maybe 60 seconds to brief about myself. My name is Aditya. I work as an engineering manager in Encora. I did my bachelor's in computer science from Indore, and then I did my master's in MIS, Management Information Systems, from University of Nebraska, Omaha. I have around 12 plus years of IT experience, and areas of my expertise includes web development. I mean, throughout my career, I've mostly done web development and designing. I have expertise in microservices architecture, Azure Cloud, Salesforce Commerce Cloud, Elasticsearch, blockchain, OAuth, Docker, and all. So these are few of my topics. I love to speak and write about technology. I did a OAuth workshop for NPTEL a few weeks back, and then a few of my blogs are published on public domain. So you can check my portfolio link and you can read more about those. Okay, let's talk about the agenda for today. So this is the agenda. Like, we're going to talk about what all things one should consider while handling or organizing meetings. Now, this particular topic is, one interesting thing about this is that it's a non-technical content, and one interesting thing here is that there is nothing right or wrong here. It's subjective. It's my perspective, and you can disagree with anything. It's like, based on all my experience in IT industry, I have come up with these points, and this is totally my perspective. And as I said in the previous slide, like, I work as an engineering manager in my company. So you can say it's like a mid leadership. So most of my time, professional time, I spend doing all these meetings. Either it is with clients or with my teammates, or even with my upper management, like senior leadership. So majority of my time, like more than 50% of my day, is all about meetings. So I'm just setting some credibility here, like why these points are coming from all that experience, and hoping that these points will help you in your future. So whole section, like whole webinar, is divided into three sections, like key things to consider before scheduling any meeting, while you are in the meeting, and of course, like once the meeting is done, the post part. So we have these three sections, and I also have an additional slide here. It's about additional recommendations. Now, I did something similar for our company's leadership boot camp, and that's why that's from where this slide comes. It might not go with all the agenda points or the topic, but hoping like all those recommendations would help you in your career. So again, only if time permits, we will cover that slide. Cool. So let's start with the presentation. So the very first thing, like, what are the best practices, or what are the key things which you should keep in mind before scheduling meetings? So very first thing, that do you really need it? Let's be honest, nobody likes meetings, and especially in last 2 to 3 years with this COVID era, with the work from home and hybrid mode, we see lots of meetings happening on our calendar. I'm being culprit of setting up so many meetings, and I've been on both the sides. So, and you would agree with it that we are doing lots of meetings in our day to day. So first thing which you need to ask is that, do I really need this meeting? Because if there is a certain information, or if you have to share something with your team or anyone, with the audience, If you can do it over an email, go ahead and do it. A 10 or like a 10-second email cannot be like a 10-minute meeting. So that's one thing that you need to keep in mind, that you really need that. I understand sometimes you might feel that, hey, I need certain acknowledgement, I need attendance, whether this particular information was received by everyone or not. In that case, you can always ask for acknowledgement in your email, or you can create Teams group chat and then ask your folks to just give a thumbs up. So in a way, your communication was the purpose of that thing is served. You wanted them to acknowledge, they have done it. So you really don't need to set up a meeting and then tell about it. Second thing, I mean, which you need to understand is that you don't want to add multiple meetings on your folks' calendar. I mean, I'm talking about your teammates now. So imagine, like for instance, I start my day a little late at 10:30 or 11 in the morning, and then I am in a different mindset. I might feel that, hey, I can set up a call at 11 and then I can talk to all my teammates. But now there is a person in my team who he or she started their day at around 9 o'clock, or say 10 a.m. in the morning. That person is fully into his or her mode, like either he's a developer, senior developer, or a tester, but they are doing their job. Now I send a meeting invite for 11 a.m. I might feel that it's okay to send that because I'm just starting my day, so it's fine to call everyone on a call or meeting. But now think from that person's perspective. That person was very much into whatever they were doing, and now all of a sudden there has to be a basically they have to do context switching. Like they are right into their core thing, whatever they are doing, and then they have to join their call. So it's not always about that. If it is fine with you, that doesn't mean that everybody is fine with that meeting. Avoid ad hoc meetings, I would say. Of course, if there is a scrum call or there's a recurring call which you have, that's fine, because with recurring call or planned meetings, everybody they plan their work accordingly, or their particular day accordingly. But if there is an ad hoc information which you need to share with your team, really, I mean, you need to ask this question to yourself: that do I really need this? This could be done over an email, or I can do it on our Teams or whatever communication medium you guys are using for your organization. So that's one thing. Second, I mean, always have a clear and I always have a clear objective or agenda for the call. Now, thing is, don't go unprepared in any meeting. You might feel, hey, this is an internal meeting, so it's fine. I mean, I can just go there and on the fly I will do other things. But idea is that you don't need to do it. I mean, you should avoid doing this, because if there is a clear objective and agenda, then for your meeting, that shows that you are ready or prepared for that. You did your homework, and you are calling multiple folks on that particular call. You are setting some expectation. That's why it is very important to have a clear objective, and always try to share that agenda beforehand. Like while you are sending the meeting invite, always try to add those points here. Now, one biggest advantage which you will receive, which you will get by sharing the agenda, is that, say you are sending this invite to a client or senior leadership or any XYZ team. Now, if you are not including the agenda, even they are clueless, like what this meeting is all about. They might not involve more people, or intended audience would not be even there. But if I include the agenda in my meeting invite, now what I am doing here, I'm setting some expectation that, hey, I need XYZ things from you, or I'm going to share this information with you. They can even forward your meeting invite to concerned parties if you are not, if you don't have that visibility. That's one biggest advantage you will get if you share your agenda. And if they have certain information which they want to do, like for instance, you are setting some expectations, you have to set some timeline for them. Then even they can come, they can do their homework, or basically whatever information you are seeking for, they can come up with all that information. So idea, I mean, whole thing is that don't send the meeting invites before setting up the agenda. Always try to include your agenda in whatever meeting invite you are sending. Next thing is prepare script for your demos. Now, what do I mean by this? That, okay, when you prepare script for your demos, when I say demo, by the way, demo is just a synonym here. It could be any meeting, demo, meeting, or anything. All the synonyms you can just place here. Idea is that always have a script for that. same reason. Like now I'm imagining, since you are going to organize a meeting, then it means that you are somewhat representing your team. For instance, if you're a project manager, scrum master, tech lead, or XYZ person, you have some authority. You are basically responsible for showcasing or portraying your team's efforts. Now, that particular team has done so much. Like they have put so much efforts in preparing their product, or maybe testing the product, whatever team they belong to. Now it's your responsibility as a authoritative person. It's your responsibility to portray those efforts in a very precise and very good way. So don't just go on the fly that, hey, I mean, we often have this problem, right? I mean, I have been culprit of this, that, okay, that's fine. I mean, if this particular meeting is with XYZ client, I'm already working with this client for say 2+ years. I know all of them. That's fine. I will do it on the fly. No, you're not doing justice with your team members or with their whatever efforts they have put into that particular product. Whether it is sprint demo, whether it is product demo, irrespective of that, always try to have a script. Like, okay, I'm going to showcase this and this things, and more you try to practice, like more. And second point is, like, you have to do more dry runs and internal demos. So more or less these 2 points sit in the same frame, like preparing script or doing dry runs. Both of these things will eventually help you in becoming better. Like your teammates will give you feedback about it, that you can present it in a better way. Or what happens, like when you try to demo a product internally, sometimes you will know eventually that, okay, all the areas of your product are not 100%. So all these dry runs and script creation will help you in optimizing or better planning that, okay, this particular product has say 15 modules in it. I know I need to spend good amount of time on XYZ, like say 5 out of 15 modules where it is a primary focus. So this is what I'm talking about. Like if you try to create script, prepare script and do internal demos, all that internal feedback and whatever planning you are going to do, that eventually will reflect in the quality of your demo or presentation, whatever you are going to do. So that's the key. I mean, always prepare the script and try to do internal demos and dry runs. Next is always have a plan B. Now, I mean, this is a bit obvious that same thing, like eventually everything boils down to the same point, that since you are the work meeting organizer, I'm assuming that you have some authority, and now it's your moral responsibility to showcase your team's efforts in a very concise or a very good way to whoever you are, I mean, to whom you are assigning. Either you are giving your presentation to senior leadership, or you might be giving your presentation to clients. Regardless of that, it is your responsibility to portray your team's efforts in a good way. Now, say something happens, like your internet is down, or maybe electricity problem, or XYZ thing. There are any technical possibility, any technical glitch could happen. In all those cases, you can't simply say that, hey, I have this problem, so we need to reschedule this call, or I don't know what to do. I mean, because I've been culprit of doing that. That's why again, as I said at the beginning of the call, all these points are coming from my own experience. So always try to have a plan B in such cases. A plan B, it could be as simple as that: share that presentation or deck with your other teammates. And also internal demos, like while you are doing a demo of the product, always try to have that code on multiple environments. You can have it in test environment, you can have it in your dev environment, or even on the local. I mean, there's no harm in doing that. So idea is to have a backup plan, and ideally you should have a plan C also. But again, it's like, okay, at minimal, at least you should have a backup plan, like a plan B option. Even, I mean, I'm just giving an example here. Like even for this webinar which I'm having now, I'm giving it from my home, and as a backup plan, this deck, I've shared the same deck with two other folks who are on the call. So say if internet is down or anything happens, I can simply switch from my laptop to my cell phone, and then I can run this webinar from there. So yeah, I'll always think about such possibilities and always try to have a backup plan. That's the conclusion here. Next is always invite limited or intended audience. What does this mean? So we have like while you're sending emails, you have CC and then you have BCC. I mean, I'm talking a very basic thing here, but just treat it as a refresher. Now, what do you mean by 2 and CC over there? Again, it's a very simple thing, but we often overlook such simple things. 2, you keep all those folks in the 2 part where you are having some expectation or you are assigning some action to that particular person. only those individuals are kept in a two-part, and CC, like that stands for carbon copy, it's for FII type of thing. Like if you just need to inform that person that, hey, this communication is happening, you keep those person in CC, carbon copy. So same logic you need to have while setting up the meetings also. Invite only those, keep only those folks as required, or into where you to whom you want to invite, like those are your basically intended audience. You have to have them in the call or meeting. But at the same time, you just need to, if you can always have some folks as optional, you can mark them optional, you can move them in CC option. That way you will have the visibility that, hey, I'm setting up this meeting with so and so person, this agenda and so and so subject line. You don't need to necessarily join. It's good if you want to join, it's your call, but I'm not enforcing you to join this particular call. So that's the key. That's the key here. Like always try to have limited intended audience while you're setting up the meeting. So yeah, these are the few points which one should keep while scheduling meetings. And now let's go to the second section of this webinar. It's about what you should keep in mind while you are in the meeting, like when the meeting is on. Very first thing, always take consent for recording. Again, something very simple. We often take this for granted, that it's okay to record the call. No, it's not okay. And why? Because there are two things here. Like one, of course, from the data security perspective, say you are going on a call with a client and you're going to discuss two requirements over there, and client is going to share certain information which might be secret or confidential. They might not be okay with you recording that particular content. So it's always better. Always I would recommend that always ask or always check whether is it fine to record this call. That's the one thing. The data security and that the data confidentiality, that is one part to this. Second part, which is not so important, but again something which should be considered while you are having internal KT calls. Like say I'm having a call with my peer, or I'm having an internal call with my team. Now, that doesn't mean since it's an internal call, okay, I can simply start the recording. Even if you want to start the recording, at least let the organizer or presenter know that I'm recording this call. Why? Because even if this is an internal call, I might have to check on my language. Again, I'm sharing this from my personal experience. That I was doing a KT with someone, and this knowledge transfer session I was having with one of my team, and I don't know when this person started the recording, and in addition to what the main intent of that call was, I started speaking about certain things which I might not be speaking if the recording was not on. So I hope you get my point. Point here is that always ask or always check for the consent, like whenever you are recording any particular meeting. Second, it's about starting on time. Now, this start is very subjective thing here. I'm not hoping you to say this particular meeting was scheduled at 6 p.m. IST. No, that doesn't mean that, hey, 6 p.m. 01 second, let me start. I'm not talking about that start here. At least I understand that few of the folks might be running late, or some of you might inform you that, hey, I'm running late and blah, 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 XYZ reason. But idea is that at least acknowledge the fact that few of the members who were respectful, who joined on time, at least acknowledge their presence. You can say simply that, hey, thanks for joining. We are waiting for XYZ person. We will start in 2 minutes or 5 minutes. So that type of acknowledgement, that is what I mean by start. Like once the meeting time is on, you have to start. You have to acknowledge everyone's presence, and of course, then you can wait for everybody to join. And if anybody will have any concern, they can always ask you to stop, or they can ask you to wait for a certain amount of time. Third, know your audience beforehand. And now, we all have been to interviews, right? So whenever we get an interview invite, what's the first thing which you do? Not sure if you do it, but I would do, or I used to do, is like, okay, I will always go and check the profiles on LinkedIn, that who this person is. Same goes for your meetings also. That always try to know your audience. And why this is important, that based on that, like, okay, this person might be pure technical plus non-technical, all that, and where they belong in the leadership. So depending on all those parameters, you might have to change your script, the script which I talked about, like when we talked about on the first slide. So depending on that, like who your audience is, what's their seniority, what their domain, all those things. Eventually, all this information is going to help you in preparing your script or to run that meeting successfully. Third point, and fourth point is like always give some context. Now, what do you mean by this? As I said, I am somewhere in the mid leadership of my company. So I'm in the middle somewhere. Like I interact with my team, I interact with all the clients, and I also interact with the senior leadership. Now, same presentation or same demo, if I have to give to any of these three, whole context changes. Because if I have to give the same demo to one of my team, now this team is someone, this team has all the members who are working day in, day out on this particular product. So they know everything about it. I might not have to give all that context to them. It's okay to directly jump to the primary intent or primary content of the presentation. But at the same time, if I'm giving this same presentation to someone, say someone in senior leadership or someone in the client side, now think about it from their perspective. They might be jumping from some other call. Some senior leadership person, he or she might be doing back-to-back calls. Now that person is coming from any other project's call. He or she will still have in that zone, like thinking about that project or whatever meeting they had. So always try to give a context before you're starting that, hey, this particular meeting is for so-and-so project. We did so-and-so things in this particular sprint. We are trying to demo you so-and-so changes. That type of context I'm talking about. Now, and 30 to 45 seconds of this business context is not going to hurt. It's not harmful because extra information is never harmful. I mean, just think about it in this way, that even if it is repetitive, that's fine. But maybe there are 15 folks on that call. For 13 out of 15 might feel that this is what I mean, I already know about it. But think about it. Think about the other two. They will be they will benefit out of your context, whatever you are going to share. So that's the thing. Like always try to give some context before you are starting that, hey, this particular call is for so-and-so product. We are in the so-and-so, like for instance, I'm just giving you an example. Say this is a sprint 9 demo. So don't just start that, hey, this is sprint 9 and directly show the product or directly start the presentation. Don't do that. Always have like say 45 seconds or a 60 seconds type of business context that this is the XYZ project. We have so-and-so team worked on so-and-so things. Last time we met on so-and-so date. At that time, we discussed about this. During and in the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, our team has worked on so-and-so things, and this call is about that. This is the context I'm talking about. And this will be super helpful or beneficial for those who are coming from back-to-back meetings or any individual who has a lot on his plate. So that context will eventually help you. With this context, that person is with you now. Now they are with you in the same room, and now you can go ahead and start with your main content of that demo or presentation or meeting, whatever it is. Next is the demo first approach. Again, something which I learned from my personal experience that earlier what I used to do that all these demos, sprint demo or product demo or any particular meeting, I will always talk about theoretical things first that, hey, we did this, we did that, this was the learnings, and then eventually somewhere in the middle or maybe in the end section, we will do the demo. Don't do that. Always, try to have your demo first, and reason being that once you do the demo, you have audience attention. Cool. Because the first 10-15 minutes is when you have maximum attention from anyone in any presentation, any webinar I'm talking about. Utilize that window, because in this first 15-20 minutes, they are with you fully. And after that, they might be, depending on your engagement, they can think about other places. But that first 15-20 minutes are very crucial. Utilize that by showing the main intent. If this is a product demo or a sprint demo, try to show that first. Now you have their attention. Of course, there might be cross questions and all, but once you have their attention, then it is easy for you to communicate. Presentation meetings is all about communication, like two parties communicating or interacting with each other. And if you want to have an interactive communication, then of course you need their attention. So once you do the demo of anybody of your product, then you have their full attention, and then you can ask cross questions, they can ask cross questions, and then so on. So idea is to have demo first. And I mean, if you go to the product launches, like say Apple or any good company, you will observe the same thing. They will not talk about theoretical things. They might give you some business context or what this launch is all about and all. But eventually, I mean, then they will start with the demo of the product, and then they will talk about the features. You can go to any product launch from Apple, and then you will know what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3. Sixth point is about visual over textual slides. Again, one thing which I've observed in beginners, like when they try to come up with a presentation, whether it's a tech talk or workshop, webinar, anything, they will try to keep content, like lot of content on their slide. Don't do that. Don't do that mistake. Why? Because what happens when you put a lot of content on your screen, audience will start reading that content, and then that engagement, you will struggle with that engagement when, like, one-to-one. Again, this is very important when you are having a live workshop, or like when you have a live audience in front of you. Maybe not so important in a virtual one, because right now even this is virtual. But when I'm talking about a live workshop or a live webinar, always try to have key points and add more and more visuals. Now, this is the irony that for this particular presentation, you are not seeing much visuals here. But as I said, like the workshop which I did for NPTEL 2 weeks back, so those who attended that workshop would know what I'm talking about. Like that particular deck of mine had so many visuals and diagrams and all. Because with graphics, you can create an appeal. You can engage more user attention. So that's the thing. Like try to add more and more visual, and always keep bullet points on your slide. Don't just put sentences. I understand that you might want to have a supplement information. You can have your notes. You can have another screens, like multiple screens. You can put your notes here and there. Or if you're if you don't prefer soft notes, and if you want to keep hard copy notes, that is also fine. Go ahead with all those things, but don't put all the content directly on the slide. It's a big turn off. I mean, nobody likes boring long slides on the screen. And the second last thing, which I believe is very important, is improvise, adapt, and overcome. Again, something very basic, but often we overlook this thing, that things may go. I mean, some cross questions can come from anyone in your meeting, and they might not be happy with whatever solution you have provided, or maybe requirements were not what they anticipated. So XYZ thing can happen. Things can go south. That doesn't mean that you just don't just stick to that primary script which you created. In that case, idea is to have like you just adapt and overcome. Like you basically improvise on runtime. You created that script, whatever script for your demo, and say for XYZ module, there were so many questions around that particular module. Don't just stick to that particular module. Quickly jump to any other module where you feel more confident about it. So in a way, what you are doing, you are not, you are basically improvising, or I mean that you are improvising on runtime, and you are making sure that you are not stuck on that same point. So that's what I mean to say when I say improvise, adapt, and overcome. So on similar lines, diplomacy is the key. Again, since I work in a service industry, a service-based company, so this particular last point is very crucial for all those folks who work in service-based industry. Because for us, like client is everything. I mean, I'm not saying everything, but client is very important. So the thing is, if you are giving a product demo or a sprint demo to any client, and that particular someone from client is not happy about something, and they might say certain things, and you can be off track about it, but don't just get baffled with it, that hey, this is not true and all that. Acknowledge them, acknowledge it, and then just sleep over it, I would say. It's like just take a sip of water, or cool, if there is a negative feedback coming from any member or any audience, acknowledge the fact that fine, okay, we understand that this is happening. I will work with my team. Then we'll do some internal brainstorming about it. We will get back to you. It could be very simple as that. I mean, what I just said. Or say there was any product failure, like you were trying to showcase something and the product is not working at all. Happened. I mean, again, been there, done that. It happened with me very recently. I would say 3 to 4 weeks ago. But same thing, like I had to improvise and adapt. I had to improvise at that time. So at that time, we mainly focused on certain things which we had already demoed to them. But at the same time, we also acknowledge, I mean, I was the one who was presenting. So I also acknowledge the fact that, okay, this is not working. I think there is some mistake from our sides. We will try to see what were the things and then we'll get back to you very soon. Simple. They might be, say, if you are giving a presentation or demo to senior leadership, they might not understand the technical implication, like they might not understand the technical complexities with some certain requirements. They might be asking you something which is not technically possible. That doesn't mean you just straight away say no to them, that hey, this is not possible because XYZ. No, don't do that at all. Same thing, diplomacy, that fine, we have taken notes. I have taken notes. My project manager or my tech lead has, we will brainstorm, we will sit together, we will come up with a strategy and then we will let you know, we'll keep you posted about it. It could be as simple as this. So diplomacy is the key. I mean, again, this particular point might be true. This is very crucial for all the service industry folks because we often face this problem, like when we are doing client demos or sprint demos. So cool. I think these are the points which I feel that that would help you when you are in the call, presenting or doing any particular meeting. Last, the third section is about what to do upon completion of meeting. Like once the meeting happens, what next? What are the key things which you need to do? Now, these are the 4 points. Now, you might be feeling that, hey, this is very similar to what we do formally, like we have MOM, minutes of meeting. I'm not talking about minutes of meeting here, though the 4 points are somewhat similar to that minutes of meetings format, but I actually do this, I actually practice this, and that's why I have it here. Always try to have these 4 points verbally, like speak about these points in the end of the call or any meeting. This is like a conclusion. And why this is important and how is it different than MOM? So let's take example of the proposed timeline. I mean, the 4th point here that, hey, XYZ person has to do so-and-so thing by so-and-so time. If I'm simply adding this line in an email, in a minutes of meeting, I'm just communicating to them that I need XYZ thing by ABC time. But at the same time, if I'm talking about it, I can also emphasize, I can let them know that why this is important, that I need XYZ information by say 15th January or mid-January, because in a way, if there is a delay, then it will cause so-and-so things. If you give me so-and-so information by this time, then our team will not be blocked or any reason you can come up with. But the thing is, this is different than MOM. Of course, you need to send MOM. MOM is like an agreement that, hey, this conversation happened. But in addition to sending MOM, always try to spend 2 to 5 minutes speaking about all these 4 things. That, okay, to conclude the call, I think these were the key things we talked about. And these are the action items that XYZ, this team has to do this team has to do that. So when you speak about it, then if there is a confusion, if you are not on the same page as the audience, then they can cross question, they can correct you. Another advantage of speaking about it, not just relying on your MOM. Third one, again, something important, specify the names. Now, what do you mean by this? Say I'm meeting with I'm working in a project where we have 3 to 4 different teams, and all 3 to 4 teams are on the call. We are doing a product demo, and I need a certain thing from XYZ team. In my minutes of meeting, or instead of saying the team name, it's always better to, if possible, always better to assign a name to that particular requirement or that particular task. In a way, you are enforcing accountability on that person, that if you just write a team name, chances are that there might be procrastination. They might be feeling that, hey, I will do it tomorrow, or let that person handle it, the other person in that team handle it. So instead of putting a generic team name or a client name, always try to have a product. Always try to add a name and then assign a task to that person. It could be like, okay, if you need certain information from your client, don't just say that XYZ client, I need so and so things. You will have product owner or a project manager on your client side. You can always put their name. That actually establishes a certain sort of accountability, that this person has to do so and so things by so and so. So that's always try to highlight the key takeaways while concluding the call. Have action items ready. You try to specify names when you are assigning any task to anybody, and then of course, if there is a timeline associated, add or assign a timeline to that particular task with a reason that why do you think you need it by so and so time, and if we don't receive so and so thing from if this task is not achieved by so and so timeline, what are the implications, like what are the implications of it, what will happen if we don't receive it. So yeah, that's what this is how it is different than your minutes of meeting. More or less, 4 points are same. I'm just saying, asking you or requesting you, like if you can spend 2 minutes or 3 minutes talking about it, it will help you. Cool. Yeah, I think we are right on time. I think this was the main agenda for this particular tech talk. I kept it very short and simple. And as I said, this is a non-technical talk. So there is nothing, there is no good or bad or true or false type of information here. You might disagree with few points here, but again, as I said, all these points or suggestions came from my personal experience of doing meetings, and I can tell you more than 50% of my times I spend on doing meetings. So yeah, these all points were based on my experience or my mistakes, I would say. I've done few mistakes while presenting or while doing meetings. Okay, so it's 6:37. I think we have 5 minutes, so we can quickly cover one additional or bonus slide which I created. Okay, again, something, not all the points would be applicable to your, whatever the main agenda for this talk was, but something which I preach and which I follow. I wanted to share with all of you. As part of my job as engineering manager, I have multiple projects and multiple teams. So I have close to 50 to 60 members directly, indirectly reporting to me, and these points are coming from handling or managing all those projects. Number one, try to do frequent one-on-one with all the team members. Don't rely on 6 monthly or yearly or those one-on-ones which your HR team schedules. They are doing their job by scheduling those yearly or 6 monthly one-on-ones, but at the same time, it's your responsibility to interact with your folks. I'm not asking you to bug them, say once in a week or once in a month. Totally depends on how that team member is performing. Like if somebody is not doing not so good, that's fine. Do a one-on-one with them. Try to understand what's going on. If there are any personal problems, professional problems, if they are lacking somewhere, try to do that. Don't wait for things to pile up and then HR team sets up a call and then you talk about all those things. Instead of doing that, try to do frequent one-on-one with all your team members. And second thing, like from the other side of this, the frequent one-on-one, like while you are doing these one-on-ones, utilize this one-on-one very wisely. Say I have my one-on-one with my supervisor. Don't spend this one-on-one talking about the project updates. No, that's one-on-one is not about talking about project. One-on-one is not talking about your project updates or what you did, because you already have project sync-ups. You already have scrum calls and review meetings and all for talking about projects. This one-on-one are for your own personal thing. If you have share about your career path, if you want to do any certification or you want to learn something, or if anything is bothering you in your team, utilize your one-on-one for talking about such things, not about project updates. Because people have this misconception that, hey, I have to speak to my supervisor. I will try to show what all tasks I did. You don't have to do that. That person already has access to your Jira board or whatever project management planning tool you're using. So try to have generic conversation with your supervisor. Next, you grow when your people grow. I cannot, this particular point is, I personally implemented this. So when I joined Encora, when I joined this company, I joined as a tech lead. I was leading a very small team. And now what I could have done, since I was the one who had maximum knowledge about that particular project, I could have kept all that knowledge with me and then this could be because of anything, like this could be because of job security and all that. Hey, I will not share all this. I want to become SME of this thing. Come out of that mindset. Whatever information you have, transfer it to your folks, your junior, senior, or your peers, because only when you spread that knowledge, you are actually reducing the dependency from that particular project. Eventually, that will help you in growing. I mean, taking my example, as I said, when I started as a tech lead for one project, one team, and then I started doing this. I will join the next second project, work there for a certain amount of time, and once I feel that okay, so and so person in my team is ready to grow up, I will just elevate. I mean, I will just promote that person, and then I will jump to next project. So in a way, in last 2 years, I've 4 to 5 internal promotions which I have done. So that's the thing I'm talking about. Like rather than hiring people from outside, it's always best to do internal promotions. So, and you can do that only when you come out of that particular project. I mean, if you try to stick into the same project with this mindset that I want to have job security, don't think about that. I mean, it's always better to join any project, learn about it. Once you feel that you are confident, transfer that knowledge to somebody else, jump to other project or a new challenge. If you keep this mindset, trust me, you will grow. Third, again, something very important: praise in public, criticize in private. It is very simple that if you have some negative feedback to share with anyone, don't rely on, don't say it in public or a team meeting or anywhere. Criticism should always be one-on-one. And fourth point, I am taking the fourth point also, that whenever you are criticizing someone, it should be a constructive criticism. Don't just say a sandwich approach, as we say, positive, and then points to improve, and then always end it with a positive note. So if you give such type of constructive criticism, even the other person, the receiving end person, will take it positively. And always try to do it one-on-one in a verbal meeting. Fourth point, as you can see, like avoid criticism in writing. Don't write that email that, hey, you did this, you did that. No, you might be angry about certain thing. Don't put it in writing. I mean, just call that person, open your heart, and then that's it. On the other hand, if you have to appreciate someone, always try to do it in public and have it in written. I'm not saying I follow this completely. I mean, to be very honest, even I am working on these things, but I try to do this particular thing, praising in public and criticizing in private, though there is an area of improvement even in my side, but yeah, I mean, most of the times I try to follow this. Fifth one, okay, we have 1 minute. Fifth one, absolute versus relative performance. So while you are meeting with someone in your team, try to evaluate that person based on the relative performance. Like don't evaluate them on the basis of what they are doing right now. Do a relative comparison from where they are coming. If somebody is improving, or 3 months back or 6 months back, if that person was here and now if that person is here, that's a growth. You don't say that, hey, XYZ team member is here, so you need to be here. No, that's not true. I mean, you have to be respectful about the fact that this person put efforts to come from here to here. You have to acknowledge that, praise him, appreciate him. And in a way, I mean, trust me, within a few weeks or months, eventually that person will reach here. But if you just say that, hey, you are here, your team member is here, no, that's not going to work. Always try to do relative performance, relative self-performance, do not come. I mean, this might be not true. Absolute versus relative self-performance. I should have written. Cool. I think last 3 points. I think last one is important. Second last and third last are more or less. It's quite self-explanatory. Last one, I will take 30 seconds to elaborate on it. Like, give a chance to everyone. This means just because any person in your team is not good in communication skill or presentation skill doesn't mean that you neglect that person. And whoever is good, you ask them to give presentations. You ask them to be the face of your team. No, you have, as a manager or as your tech lead, it's your responsibility that everybody in your team grows. And for this, like, even if that person has not good communication skill or presentation skill, encourage that person to do internal demos. correct that person. And internally, it's not going to hurt, right? I'm not asking you to put that person in front of client or doing client demos or maybe the senior leadership, but at least give them opportunity, give them chance to grow internally, like for internal demos, or give them feedback. They will be open to feedback, and a person who wants to improve will always listen to your feedback. So that's the thing, like why give chance to everyone. This doesn't mean that you just keep encouraging to those who are already good. No, you have, as a manager, it's your responsibility that everybody in your team should get equal or fair opportunity. Okay, I think I'm good from my side. I think 46 minutes. So we have covered all these slides. I kept it very short and sweet. So if you have any questions, then feel free to message me on LinkedIn, or you can shoot me an email on my email. Email is mentioned here. And not only to this topic, as I said, I have expertise in few other things which I mentioned in about me section of the slide. Feel free to ping me on LinkedIn if you have anything, if you want to learn anything. I'm totally fine with that, helping you in that way. Okay. Hey, hi, David.
Yeah. Thanks, Aditya. We can, drop off now.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, David.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for joining. Thanks, guys.